Hello, listeners. It's Kevin here. You might have noticed I've been absent for the past few weeks, and as a result, Steve and Andre have been fucking running wild with all sorts of misinformation without me there to do quality control. I'd like to apologize for this, and to try and repair some of the damage, I'd like to fact check one segment in specific. A couple of shows ago, during listener questions, they were asked about pizza toppings. When asked about best topping, my first thought was it's mushrooms. Mushrooms are versatile. I think you can put mushrooms on like any pizza and it's good. Steve and Andre both said pepperoni. Come on, you guys. Like, because it's the like most go-to topping because it shows up in Ninja Turtles cartoons on pizza. Unreasonable.
For a reason. For a very, very good reason.
I listened to the show. The reasons were garbage. This is my intro, okay?
Okay, sorry. I'll shut up. Okay.
Then we get to worst topping. Steve says mushrooms for the reason that it gives him bathroom issues. Steve, I'm sorry. Your dietary diarrhea does not qualify for like what good pizza toppings are or are not.
I was asked for an opinion, and my opinions are not invalid.
You can't base your opinion on your burning asshole from going to the bathroom.
I think I literally can.
That is invalid. Then Andre about worst topping bitches about pineapple. How original. And then he fucking talks about mushrooms too. And he's like, well, I just say mushrooms because mushrooms really like need to be done right on pizza. Oh my God. We talk about elitism. You guys, they're fucking mushrooms. They're always going to, you just go grab some mushrooms out of a field and put it on pizza. It's fine. Underrated topping. The underrated topping was okay. Andre said artichoke hearts. I've never had artichoke hearts on pizza, but that sounds good. I would try it. Steve said meatball. I would. I definitely like meatballs on pizza. So I would have said that this, like, they started to redeem themselves, but then on the last question, least terrible chain, and they both said fucking Pizza Hut. You guys, is that the best chain you have available? Here's what offended me the most about that. Andre said Pizza Hut and said because of the pan pizza crust. Are you you're going to, if you're, the only reason to go to Pizza Hut is just to get stuffed crust. You don't get the original pan crust. You only go because it's the only redeeming quality about Pizza Hut is stuffed crust. Okay, let's start the show.
Oh my God.
Step into video game land. Welcome to Fine Time.
Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre. As you heard in this very, very long intro, it's also my boy Kevin. He's back.
I'm back.
He's back to give us his shitty pizza opinion, Steve.
Despite the shitty pizza opinions, I'm happy to see Kevin again.
Me too.
Aw, thanks. I missed you guys.
All right. I didn't know the pizza was literally burning a hole in your stomach.
I genuinely was upset when I listened to that, but it's fine. I can move on. I just needed to let it out.
Okay. Well, I guess I won't get you any Pizza Hut coupons for Christmas.
Yeah, well, if you do, it's to get a 2-for-1 stuffed crust.
Okay. Well,
the small print says no stuffed crust.
Well, I know you, Kevin, I know you had a very harrowing intro there. You're all hopped up. So why don't you let me and Steve here go first and talk about what we've been playing? And you can join in if you want. And ask us questions. Please do, by the way, because me and Steve are going to talk about the new Famicom Detective Club game, Emio, the Smiling Man. Steve, let's start here because we need to start with how this thing was marketed and how it came to us, because I think that's pretty important, because Nintendo just introduced this game to us with a really weird tweet. It was like a short video of a guy with a paper bag over his head with like a crudely drawn smiley face on the paper bag. And I believe the text said, "Who is Emio?" or maybe hashtag "Who is Emio?" Do you remember your first thought when you saw this? Because I think I sent this to you and I was like,
Yeah, I had a very similar brain dead when I saw it too.
Yeah, that was Kevin, did you catch this when they posted this? Like, were you aware or?
Yeah, I did. But I obviously had no idea what it was for.
Right. Well, none of us did. We knew it was a game because it had an ESRB M in the bottom left corner. So we knew it was a video game and it wasn't like a movie or anything like that. And because of that mature rating and the creepy baghead man, everyone just assumed this was going to be some sort of horror game, including myself. But when it was revealed to be a Famicom Detective Club game, some were disappointed, I guess. Maybe a lot, I could say. But many others were delighted, including me and Steve. So let's start here. For those who don't know, Famicom Detective Club were a pair of text adventure mystery games for Famicom Disk System that came out in 1988, obviously in Japan only. The two games were The Missing Heir and The Girl Who Stands Behind. I don't know if they came out exactly at the same time, but they both came out in 1988. They were created and written by Yoshio Sakamoto, which I guess everyone knows for Metroid nowadays, right? But yeah, he kind of cut his teeth on doing that at Nintendo. Well, I shouldn't say cut his teeth. He did stuff like before that at Nintendo. But regardless, that's the guy behind these. So I assume right after Metroid Dread, he just went right on to these, huh? But in 2021, both those Famicom Disk System games, Famicom Detective Club, were remade and released for Switch, and those versions came to North America. And I guess they did well enough that now we have yet another one in Emio, the Smiling Man. So, Steve, I guess those games don't really show up on Nintendo bestsellers lists or whatever, because why would they? But I guess they did well enough, considering the budget.
Yeah, I remember it showing up at the Japan version of the COVID Direct. Remember that, where the first time they were all, oh no, guys, all these games might not be coming out on time. Yeah. There they were having the Famicom Detective Club visual now. I'm remembering this right now because you said all that. I'm like, well, we're never seeing this shit. And then 1 year later, hey guys, guess what shit you're getting? So,
yeah, I never even put it in my mind that we would ever get those. I'm like, oh, that's cool. We're not getting that. Yeah, we did. Oh, by the way, no, there's been no attempt all this time to update the language on this stuff, huh? It's still Famicom Detective Club, even here. Not NES Detective Club or Nintendo Detective Club or even calling this new one Switch Detective Club. It's still Famicom Detective Club. I just think, I like that, by the way. I'm not saying they should change it.
I think they're in too deep now. Like 2 years ago, you could have came in and called this presenting Nintendo Detective Club. Nah, you're in too deep. This is Famicom Detective Club. The games take place in Japan and everyone speaks Japanese. It'd be weird to change any of this stuff now.
And it still takes place in 1990X, I guess. I don't know.
Even 80X if we really want to stretch it. But yeah, it depends on how much you want to lean into whatever.
Yeah,
it's not weird. Today, that's for sure.
Yeah, not today. Absolutely. Anyway, back to that ESRB rating. So here, the Famicom Detective Club game remakes are rated teen, both of them. And in Japan, they're rated Sero C. Sero is their ratings board, and they have A, B, C, D, and Z. C is like 15 plus. Okay, so that's what it's rated in Japan. Here's the thing about Emio. While that's rated mature here, it's still just rated Sero C in Japan, just like the first two games. It's the ESRB here that decided to escalate it, and PEGI in Europe. It's also rated PEGI 18. So that led me to believe that Emio might just be like an edge case, like how Phoenix Wright 5 was rated mature here, right? Just for a little couple things, right? That, look, maybe I guess on like the barest goes over it. Maybe it deserves it, but not really, you know? And I thought maybe Emio the Smiling Man might be like that. But now that we played the whole game, Steve, by the way, no spoilers. We're not going to spoil anything, folks. So if you're going to play this game for yourself, don't worry. We're not going to spoil anything. But now that we've played the whole game, was this warranted? Is this the M-rated visual novel of everyone's dreams or what?
Obviously, Famicom Detective Club is not going to be the spoopy psychological horror game that's rated M, but there were still some chilling visuals and a bunch of different adult situations in the storyline that I was not expecting them to touch in ways that could have very horribly gone wrong.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, there's at least two off the top of my head that we're not talking about, and thankfully we're not. So I would definitely say that Emio the Smiling Man definitely earns that M rating, but not for any reason the box is going to lead you to believe.
I agree. I think it does earn it. I don't think you can get away with a teen for this game, especially... Well, I don't want to say when, but like, yeah, it does. You may not think it does, but it does. It definitely gets there. I guess from here, we can just say whatever the hell we want about the game. Again, spoiler free. I guess we should set the premise, huh? Like, because the reason why we saw that teaser image, the smiling man, is, as he's known, Emio, the paper bag over his head, is that's how the victim in this game was found. There was a middle schooler who was found dead, and there's a paper bag over his head with this crudely drawn smiley face on it. And that begets a series of investigations into a urban legend of this and like stuff from the past, and it all comes together. Again, I'm trying my best to be vague here, but that's just the basic premise, just so everyone knows. That's the basis for the mystery. But Steve, the first thing I noticed right away is that everything in Emio has a much more lively animation style, shall we say, than the remakes from 3 years ago. There's like tons of moving hands and gestures and facial expressions and stuff that simply did not exist before. These characters, shit, when I first saw Kuze, Detective Kuze, I damn near thought she was 3D. Like, did you? That was so well done.
I thought they definitely stepped up the visuals. The remakes of Famicom Detective Club and this game were developed by mages. And this is what they do. They make visual novels mostly on licensed properties. I'm not going to pretend I played any of those, but they know their way through this sort of thing. That's why they got tapped for this, and that's why they got tapped for the remakes. I was not expecting, the AAA team in there to step in for Emio. There's like, the hands and things, like you said, the character models that graze that 2D to 3D effect, but, just subtle breeze affecting backgrounds. And you already brought up Detective Kuze fairly early on. You have to do a short meeting with her. Like, she just wants to see you in her office. And it's like this dimly lit room in comparison to everything else you've seen so far. There's just the one lamp flickering on. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of these.
Yeah, it feels like real lighting, even though, quote unquote, real lighting, even though it's 2D. It's incredible. It's so good. I don't even know. Maybe they were flat polygons and they could light them in a way that I don't fucking know what they did, man. It just looks so good. Even just the simple loops of stuff, like when you're in a car, like the background and stuff, even that stuff looks spectacular.
Yeah, you end up doing that if you're riding a cab or you're riding around with a cop, and it's just, and you're doing that for a while because of the way the game's played, and it's really feels like you're moving, sort of. It's really tough to explain if you're not playing it.
Was there like a real big jump then from the 2021 remakes? Like, did they kind of attempt to get that kind of quality, or not even try to do something like what they're doing here?
Yeah, the animation is definitely a lot better in Emio, and like the production style, you know what I mean? Because even Kevin, there's like these parts where like, again, I don't want to say what it involves, but like there's parts where it's like almost directed like a cutscene. Someone's being followed, right? And they're showing shots of the street behind them, and they're showing the person. But it's like, think about it. They have to draw all those shots. Right? Those are just like single use like types of things, because those aren't like regular backgrounds in the game. They're just doing it for this sort of makeshift cutscene that they're doing, quote unquote, in engine. And that stuff is really impressive too, because it's like, again, there's a lot of original like assets there that they're not going to like reuse again. So they're just doing it for that. And that's like, that kind of stuff is also super cool. There's nothing like that in the remakes. So yeah, it's just really nice looking. Also, like, I guess you're just not shackled to like remakes. Almost like, Steve, the problem sort of with like the Phoenix Wright remakes, while they look good, they're adhering exactly to the original animations and drawing them. So even if they were kind of choppy before, or even if they could do more of those animations now, they don't, because they're just recreating those exact animations.
It's interesting you brought up how they're not shackled to animation, because they sure make sure that you're playing the Famicom Detective Club game here. Because while there are still some very fun ways they're playing with the established rule set, like fairly early on, we got to wait for a bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we even got to make small talk with the cabbie on the way back. And if you didn't play these remakes, this really drives home how you need to engage with the menu again and again. I'm in the middle of the Ace Attorney Investigation remasters right now. And a lot of what those games are very streamlined. Like, this is not that at all. People are going to wish that's the case here, but I get that there's room for both of these things. But, you know, here you're going to ask something again after you just asked the person a thing. And so many people are not going to like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't going to like that. You're exhausting dialogue trees, essentially, is what this game is. There's very little point and click, even less point and click than like the remakes. You know, because those were the mores, if you will, of 1988, right? You're expected to do a lot more pointing and clicking. This is just like focusing on the dialogue and talking to people. So you're not really doing that nearly as much. And of course, in Phoenix, right, you do a lot more pointing and clicking. So yeah, this is not going to be for everybody, especially just the pace of it. Just, it's a very slow paced game, and this game does not reveal itself to you very easily. You really just got to sit down and play it. And it's very true to life in that way, right? Because it's like, that's how kind of a real investigation goes. Okay, today I'll go ask this guy about what he may have saw that day. Okay, this day I'll go to the middle school and see how the students are coping. Okay, this day I'll do that. Like, whereas like, obviously in Phoenix Wright, that shit's compressed, right? You're just doing stuff. This is not like that. And again, like you said, not everyone's going to like that. I definitely do.
Oh, for me, there's definitely room for both kinds of things. I like the whole, you look at a guy, it's like, okay, I'll talk a little bit more. And then, but I get it. I get how so many other people are going to be like, no, I already did all this. I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm just going to say this now because I don't know when else I'm going to say it. I like the part where the main character is talking to somebody, but he doesn't really want to reveal that he's a detective. And he's like, well, you could say I'm in some sort of detective club, if you will. Yeah, cute, guys. I got it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, we've talked long enough. Can we please talk about the music? Please.
Oh
my God.
You mean Sakamoto presents the Famicom Detective Club house band?
Oh my God, it's so good. It is so good. It was already really good in the remakes, right? Because the remakes are good because they don't just do the songs that were in the original and redo them. They add new ones too that fit right in. And it was really good. Because in those, you can actually change it to the Famicom Disk System sound and you realize, hey, there's a lot less music tracks. They just kind of use the same ones in these other spots where in like the remakes, they have original stuff. Now that they're unleashed, yeah, like you said, the FDC house band, dude, the instrumentation is out of this world. It's not just good composition. It sounds like a real band playing in concert with each other, which is really hard to convey in a video game sense, right? Even if that is literally the case, it doesn't always sound that way. It's moody, it's smart, it's catchy, and it's perfect. I could not imagine a better soundtrack for any game of this type.
My dumb takes are this. At its worst, it's let's not try to copy Ace Attorney's homework too obviously, and at its best, it's, you know, it's very on its own of the time flavor with, you know, still has that sinister undertone because, you know, there is a smiling man with a paper bag on his head that this game needed to bring. Like, if this game was made for the Super Nintendo PlayStation or something. Also, I want to note that even the lack of sound, they conveyed very well. Like, the abandoned bus stop is a different kind of quiet than an early morning Market Street. It's, again, it's very tough to explain on a podcast, and you might not even appreciate while you're playing the game, but I'm like, this is pretty neat, you guys.
Yeah. It's very good. And that, again, that music ties into the pace of the game, which, again, I really appreciate, because it's just not interested in that sort of like gotcha kind of flash. Now, don't get me wrong. I love that kind of drama. That's why I fucking play Phoenix Wright in the first place. I eat that shit up with a spoon. My favorite TV shows are stuff like Mad Men or Downton Abbey. Like, give me that fucking drama, baby. I love that messy ass shit. I love that shit. Okay. That's my favorite shit. So give it to me. Oh my God. What's that? Lady Gaga a few years ago, House of Gucci. Oh, I fucking love that movie. So good. Anyway, point is, Emio the Smiling Man is not interested in that type of shit, And yeah, okay, you know what? Remember how I'm not going to spoil, but remember how The Girl Who Stands Behind. Remember how I said, and it wasn't necessarily a complaint, but I thought it was weird when we first played it, that like you're kind of going along, you're investigating, you're getting closer, and then all of a sudden, boom. Shit happens. Boom. You find the culprit. Okay, boom, the game's over. And it's like, whoa, that was fast. Because that's how it would happen in real life. It wouldn't always be the slow buildup of drama. You're just like, oh, wait, I know who did it. And then you catch them. Right. So I like that. I'm not saying Emio also does that. I'm just saying that like those are the more realistic touches that Famicom Detective Club goes for. And I like.
I mean, it's allowed to be that. And they were very committed to that whole staying with the time, too. Very early on, you're getting briefed in the office, and he's handing you these top-of-the-line cell phones, and there's these giant bricks.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just thrilled as shit to get these things. So that's them hammering home. Yeah, it's still 1980 or 90X around here.
I'm going to carbon date this game's time period to 1991, I think. Because of the way the tube TVs look.
Yeah.
And like, they look a little more like early 90s than they do 80s. And then like, I don't know, the style of cell phone, it doesn't look like the huge brick from the 80s, although I guess we still use those in the 90s too. They were like a tad more sleek than that. And you have to remember, Japan was so far fucking ahead of us on the cell phone game until the iPhone. So their phones were probably just better than ours anyway. I'm going to say like 1991.
You guys have talked a lot about comparisons to the 2021 remakes, but just in like story and tone wise, does it seem like it kind of matches with those two games, or does it feel a little bit more like its own thing? I guess just like in the sense of like, how much of like a cohesive franchise does it feel with this edition?
This definitely is a Famicom Detective Club game, but it's decades later. They're feeling a bit more... I guess they're freer with the kind of material they feel like they can cover. It's this is very tough without spoilers, but I guess it's a more intense Famicom Detective Club, but again, not in that violent way you're thinking.
Yeah, because of the rating, but it's also like, again, Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies. Yeah, it's rated mature, but it's still Phoenix Wright, right? It's just a couple little things that make it kind of okay. I see why the ESRB kind of freaked out about this. I don't think it's a big deal, but whatever. Emio is not that. Okay, it does earn its mature rating, Kevin. But no, to answer your question, it does feel cohesive. It does feel like the other two games. It does have, whether it's just nods to the other two games, which there was a lot of. So I'm glad I played the other two. You don't have to like get those to enjoy the game, but like it does help, obviously. But yeah, no, I feel like this is a cohesive thing. I understand it's hard to do while being so long in between them, but I think the remakes help. Maybe if those games weren't remade and this is just a brand new one, then maybe it wouldn't feel that way. But it definitely feels in line now. I'll put it that way. Early on, Steve, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you tend to remember these games better than me. I thought it was interesting that they showed that scene of someone reminiscing at their house. Because I feel like in the first two games, you don't get any scenes that aren't directly quote unquote seen by the player. They don't show you anything else that's happening elsewhere. Am I correct? Because I don't remember that happening in The Missing Heir or The Girl Who Stands Behind.
Off the top of my head, outside of witness testimony, I'm just going to call it that because I'm again in the middle of another Ace Attorney game right now. No, I'm not remembering too much actual flashbacks in the storytelling.
Yeah, I don't remember them either. Just a thought. I love that, and this was the case in the remakes too, but every single line of dialogue in this game is voice acted in Japanese. I think that is wonderful. And it's great voice acting. You don't have to know Japanese to appreciate it. Good voice acting is good voice acting, right? Obviously, this game takes place in Japan and is about Japanese people, so having an English dub, I understand people might want that, but we're talking Famicom Detective Club here, people. I don't really think Nintendo of America is about to pop for an entirely voiced text adventure graphic novel game, right?
I don't think they should either. I think with the number of very Japanese specific references and cultural norms that are stuck in the game, not stuck, but in the game unchanged, you really kind of just need to keep the script and translate.
For sure. I just think, and they made the right choices, and I guess that's about all I could really say without spoiling the game. Go play it, everybody. Great characters overall. Do you have a favorite character? Mine was definitely Mr. Kamihara, the assistant detective there. Excellent weirdo.
Man, it's okay. So I guess this will lead into a final question. Ayumi got a lot of character building in this game. So they were trying to build her up as a Smash candidate, right? Because there's a handful of segments where you're conducting the investigation as her, and there's a throwaway line where, oh, she did Naginata Club in middle school. What a bizarre throwaway line that is if this wasn't a sequel to a semi-dormant franchise and you're trying to establish relevance to Sakurai, who already wanted her in there forever ago.
He wanted her in Smash 64. He's always wanted her in there. But he was like, international audience does not know who this is. And he's still correct. International audience will not know who that is.
They did not sell too many copies of this game at this time.
Yeah, so I mean, you could. But look, I feel like that doesn't matter. We've gotten lots of stuff in Smash. We had not gotten a Fire Emblem yet when all those guys appeared in Melee, right? It doesn't fucking matter. But whatever. Sakurai could make it work. It's just like her... It just seems like, yeah, Ayumi Tachibana. Who? Okay.
I don't know. I guess she's just friendly and fun and familiar. There's other characters too, but again, I don't want to spoil the story because that's not the podcast we're doing today.
That is not the podcast we're doing today. Although I will say this, great story. Love how it ended up. Very satisfying conclusions.
Oh, yes. Well, you need that here, but they really did that here.
Well, yeah, but think about, I don't know, The Girl Stands Behind. You don't necessarily learn every single little thing because that's true to life, right? You don't figure out every single mystery, but this game is pretty thorough and pretty complete, Emio the Smiling Man. I think they don't leave any stone unturned. You will hear and see the entire thing. That's the best way I can say it.
I think it's really cool. I mean, from the outside looking in, this is not a Kevin game, but I think it's cool just that this exists as a Nintendo fan, and it just is like a reflection as to where Nintendo is at. Can you imagine something like this coming out during the Wii U era? You know what I mean? I just think it's we couldn't even get like fucking mainline Nintendo games at that time. It's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, they would never bring... Dude, Wii U, no chance. Wii, absolutely no chance. GameCube or Wii, Nintendo of America fucking sucked. We would have never gotten that shit.
No way.
No fucking way in the world. We didn't get Captain Rape. I'm not even going to go into it. Fuck it. But I'm just saying, we would have never gotten that shit. No way. Shit, I'm surprised Nintendo even gave us, what is it? Pokemon Conquest or whatever. Like, I feel like that's a thing. If that had came out like 3 years prior, no way. So, yeah. Thank you. Anyone out there if this sounds remotely interesting, definitely go and get it. Sorry for being so vague, but if you know what, how about anyone out there? You want to hear our like spoiler discussion on it? We might do it at the end of another big deal sometime. So let us know if you want to hear that. But just for now, we're keeping it very general. Definitely go out and buy this. If you think this is for you, then it is.
Fine time, fine time, fine time.
All right, guys, I played a game too, or am playing a game. I was about 28 hours into this, and then Astrobot hit, and it hasn't got touched since. But I'm going to go back. I've been working on Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and anybody who's listened to the show, I'm sure, has heard me multiple times bitch about being too stupid to play strategy games. Usually, like with frustration at Steve, because he's the strategy game guy around here.
All you gotta do is this.
Well, I mean, so that's the thing. I always feel like there's like something that I'm not grasping, but I can't like figure out what that is. And this is kind of applicable to like turn-based strategy, real-time strategy. I always feel like I hit like some sort of roadblock. This is okay. I've tried to play Advance Wars like fucking like 7 or 8 times, probably, like where I've like really tried. And I'm paying attention, and I'm understanding what they're telling me about this mechanic. This is how this works. These are, the troops that are good against these troops or whatever. But I always like find a hang up. And I think a big part of that frustration is I hate when I spend like 20 minutes or half an hour in a battle and then realizing that I'm losing and I'm going to need to start over. And then I do, and then I realize I'm losing again because I've like just done something wrong, despite spending the time to like learn the mechanics of those games. That's really fucking frustrating. And I really just despise doing shit over and over, especially when I feel like I'm not making progress. And Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, I bought this game like right when it came out. And I remember the same thing happening. I played maybe 5 or 10 hours in. And I remember hitting a spot where I got to a battle and I was getting frustrated and I just didn't want to keep making more attempts. Something has changed here, and I don't know why, but that has just not happened this playthrough. And I think I'm getting fairly close to being done the game, just kind of based on how the story is progressing. I don't think I'm doing anything specifically different, though, which is interesting. I'm still, I'm paying attention to, the explanations and going through and like, reading extra text that's available about how the mechanics work and whatever. But I haven't hit any roadblocks this time. And actually, it was interesting. At a certain point, I had probably maybe 5 or 7 hours, probably like maybe 10 to 15 hours in, where at a point I felt like it was too easy. I was kind of going through the motions. And as the battles progressed, I wasn't really finding a lot of challenge. Luckily, eventually at a certain point that did ramp up, enough where it's definitely still engaging. So from that perspective, it's great. There's that's not to say that there hasn't been fights where I've gone in and got my ass handed to me. But it was, I could definitely lose that fight, step back and just, reevaluate myself. Like, okay, what should I try differently? How should I, use law cards to change how this is working? What character classes should I change? Would I be better having like 2 white mages for this battle, something like that? And that worked. And I, because of that, I don't think that there's any battles that I've lost maybe more than twice. And just being able to go back and just change the strategy.
It's funny that you say that because as you well know, I finally got along with Shining Force, right? Like that's finally, I did. And I think that's the thing about Advance Wars, that like the feedback, and I don't even want to say feedback because I don't think it's the game's fault, but I don't know another term for it. The feedback is so extremely poor for what I'm doing wrong. With Shining Force, I'm like, okay, I think I understood what I did wrong here. And I can regroup and it's like, okay, let me try it this way this time. I don't understand how to do that in Advance Wars. I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. And again, that could be a me thing, or it could be the game. I have no idea, but it seems like here in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, it's the same thing. I think you understand okay, this is what I can improve on.
Yeah, it's interesting you put it that way, and definitely I agree. I mean, again, it's certainly not like I would lose at Advance Wars and I'd be like, I'm going to go and try and do the exact same thing. But I never would really know, again, I understand like, okay, you want to use these units against these units or, but yeah, I didn't. It's different because I guess I didn't ever have that thing where I could step back and like really have like a drastically different way to approach it. And even with Final Fantasy, it's not like I like step back and I'm like, I'm doing something wrong per se, but just the understanding that there's a better way to do it. And I don't think with Advance Wars, I ever like, really hooked on to this, like, oh, this is the thing I should definitely be doing, at this stage of the battle or approaching it this way or whatever. And I wish I did. I want to play Advance Wars so bad. I love the music. I love the art. I love everything about that game, except for I can't fucking play it, which is very frustrating.
As some of the best music I have ever heard Intelligent Systems pump out. Holy shit. The music in Advance Wars is fucking, I feel like that's why I gave it such a long leash. I love the music so much. I feel like that's why I kept trying.
The style and tone overall, like everything works.
Yeah. But I just can't play it. I guess we're too dumb.
I guess so. On that same token, you know what? Something that has really kept me engaged with Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is the story, and I really did not think I would find so much substance, in that story. But it's really interesting. And it's very like different than any story I've ever like seen play through in a game. And I kind of remember it when I first tried playing it, but the further I got in this playthrough, the better it gets. And that's why I'm like, I got to see this through because I want to know how it turns out. And it's really like the topic of escapism is the central theme, and they handle it in a really interesting way. Whereas like at the very start of the game, they acknowledge that Final Fantasy is a video game franchise. So I won't get into the minutia of that, but it's just done really well. It's cool. And it's interesting, and it's got a lot more depth as far as the like motivations of the characters than I would have expected. Overall, I mean, just so talking about like general presentation, the pixel art is awesome. The effects are good. The music's really good. It all just feels like a solid, cohesive package. If I had to do some critiquing, the law system, and I think the law system is interesting and it's unique, but I did find myself not using the law cards as much as I wish I wanted to, and rather like spend my time because every time you move a space on the map, on the overworld map, a day passes, and every day that passes, the like list of laws that are currently in effect shift up. And so I would just wind up jumping around the map to find a set of laws that wasn't going to ruin the play style that I wanted to do. And the longer you play, the more laws that are in place and the more restrictive it is. So definitely the law system is interesting when you use it as a strategy. So specifically nullifying enemy abilities for a tough battle. That makes it a smart way to think of. But it's just does kind of feel like an inconvenience more than an interesting mechanic at times. And also this was frustrating. There's quite a bit of guesswork trying to figure out the logistics. So each one of these, you can look at the law and you can hit select and it'll give you a general description of what that law is. But they're definitely not clear as to what's actually applicable in relation to those laws, or at least not to me. So I've spent, I haven't been looking anything up of how to do this mission in the game, but constantly I'm on Google, okay, what are the logistics, what affects this law? So here's a good example, right? One of them is no killing animals. Okay. So then I'm is a Moogle an animal? You know what I mean? It's
right.
What is
How
but
dare
it's just,
you racist asshole?
I mean,
it is a good question. Is a Moogle an animal? I don't know.
Is a Runga an animal then, Kevin?
and
they live in society just like everyone else.
Well, I mean, so do cats.
Yeah, I mean,
no, but are they sentient? They have their own towns and
fucking
everything?
Cats are sentient. Come on.
Yeah.
That was being racist.
Yeah, now it's being racist. I mean,
Cats are offended.
I'm playing Visions of Mana right now, and there's a lot of sentient cats. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and Manaland, never mind.
So that animal example is just like an easy one to make. Like there's been, I bet you there's been like 15, 20 times where I've been like in Googling just like how do these things interact and like what's applicable here. And sometimes I can't even really find the answer. It's easier just to like go through and like do some of these things via trial and error, which is a little bit frustrating.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like that's what they wanted you to do I think they just wanted you to try stuff.
But again, when these battles take like 20, 25 minutes, I don't want to go in here and like set myself way back right off the hop because I'm just trying to like understand something that to me should be, if it's not easy to understand, then like give me the context to understand it without having to do that trial and error. Some things trial and error is like totally fine, but a game where like each like set of gameplay loop takes that long, I don't want to like go back and start from scratch. So I guess that's where it's again, and I don't want to seem like I'm like picking this apart. It just, that law system is maybe like the only critique I have about this. It's felt really, really satisfying to have this like click and just to know, I don't remember exactly when the first time I played it when I was a kid where I got stuck, but just to know that like that never happened. Like there's always been a path forward, and I feel like I've had this itch for like since I was a kid, and I finally have got like a good scratch to it. There's been times where I've like okay, so I was telling these guys there was this wasn't a real-time strategy game, this was a turn-based one. It was an Age of Empires game that was on the DS, and that one like I felt like I got it. I put a lot of time into that. But this one like feels like it's like hitting home, and maybe because I failed at it before, so it's nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean the sound again, like if they like a Final Fantasy Tactics remake has been rumored for like forever, right? Like if they actually do that, I might try. If Triangle Strategy comes to like a real system, I would like to. I mean, I might give it another shot. That demo was probably enough to scare me off for life, but I'd like to, I don't know, it looks so good and sounds so good. I might try. I might want to see, here's the thing, just because I'm now a Shining Force pilled, I want to like spread my wings a little bit, but now I'm scared that I might just fly too close to the sun and just
we could do this together. And we've got Steve to guide us. Actually, and so I've got a question for you in relation to this, Steve. Like in the grand scheme of things, how would you relate like difficulty or complexity wise this game in relation to other that you would compare it to? Like, am I like sitting here patting myself on the back, and in the back of your head, you're just like, well, this is kind of like baby's first turn-based strategy game, Kevin. So like, do you want a fucking cookie or what?
No, I mean, I think you're a bit off on the law cards because you're using them a little wrong, but that's a whole other thing. No, you're doing all right.
We'll take that offline.
Yeah. We're gonna have talks about that. I'm gonna be subjected to them probably. Don't put that in a DM, guys. I want to hear the argument.
But no, it's not Fire Emblem hard, but it's not baby's first strategy game either. I mean, I don't think anything can really be baby's first strategy game. You kind of just have to jump in. Really.
I feel like Shining Force is because I beat them, so like it has to be. If I can do it, anyone could do it.
I mean, I guess it is if you count just doing shit again and again until you do it. Babies first instead of.
Well, in Shining Force, you also can level up, so it is beneficial to like escape and then go back, like because you keep all your shit. So like you do want to like buff yourself to some degree, but anyway, that's another thing. Okay, yeah,
I definitely have Shining Force on my. I've got Shining Force on my mental list. That'll come up one day that I'll play that just because I fucking I love that. I love Camelot so much.
Shining Force is on fucking everything.
Yeah, definitely do that. And then Shining Force CD, if you, I don't know, Sega Genesis Mini 2, or just fucking emulate that shit. It is so, archive that shit. It is so good. All right, we'll be right back with big questions.
You're coasting with Fine Time.
All right, baby, time for big questions, and we're gonna start
whoa! I've been gone. We're not gonna do post shower talk. I've been gone for weeks.
That's later. Shh.
No, it's not. It's always after the first break. These months I was gone, I bought a blow dryer for my armpits after the shower, and I was going to ask if you guys would like me to blow your pits off too, but now I'm not going to.
Okay, now that you're being an asshole, I was going to say after the questions, we're going to take a shower, but now that you're being a dick, I don't want to take a shower with you either. I don't want to take a shower with Steve.
Well, why?
Now our imaging is just going to go to waste.
Why are we changing the shower schedule? Is my question.
We didn't go in the shower coming
always after the first break though. But maybe we didn't announce it, but we were still in there.
No, we were not.
Okay, whatever.
We will be in there after the questions if you behave yourself.
You guys have changed.
He wouldn't even shower with me last time.
Still,
well, he's probably extra stinky this week. We definitely better get in there today.
Still missing that loofah. I don't know what happened to it.
We don't ask questions. I told you, mind your own business. Okay, you don't need to know what happened. I'm just saying,
I didn't spend too much on it. I don't know how much Kevin spent on this blow jar, but maybe he shouldn't have.
Well, if he wants to get his shit together, we can do it after big questions. Okay, geez. Anyway. It's happening. So obviously the thing that everyone's been talking about, we got to talk about it too, because for our show, this is crack. This is hilarious. Christmas Day. Yeah, this is what this show was built for. So in our show sheet here, the very first thing I wrote preliminary for this show was Concord is one of the biggest bombs in years. That's what I wrote down verbatim. Because it was doing so poorly that I just wanted to laugh at the numbers a little bit, right? And then maybe take some bets about when it would shut down or whatever. Little did we fucking know, we didn't even get to do that much, because last Friday the game went offline. Refunds were issued to everybody. You can no longer play Concord. Sony announced the closure on their blog a few days before it happened, and I'll quote from that blog piece now, written by Ryan Ellis, game director of Firewalk Studios. I'm just going to read the whole thing because it's short. An important update on Concord. You know it's never good news when they say an important update on X. It's never good news. An important update on Babylon's Fall. Concord fans. What fans? We've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC, and we want to thank everyone who has joined the journey around the North Star. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonate with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. I think I wrote that down wrong. I think it was September 9th. I think I made a typo. Regardless, while we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, refunds, blah, blah, blah. We will keep you updated, and thank you again to all the free gunners who have joined us in the Concord galaxy. Guys, I almost don't even know what to say. I know it's been like a week and a half or whatever. I'm shell-shocked by this. this has to be, Kevin, this is the most embarrassing shutdown of our lifetime, right? Like, and if we covered quite a few in the time of Fine Time, but just in general, this is crazy.
It's definitely the fastest, right? Is this like definitely is setting a record?
I'm going to do my best Total Recall lady impression here. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Steve.
Like Kevin just said, this is literally a record for our show. Niantic's basketball game lasted longer than this.
What, Knockout City or
the thing where we traveled around and played hoops until they didn't?
I don't remember that one at all.
We had that whole thing about how they were shitting out money, and they even canceled the whole game before it
right,
launched.
I remember that.
And they're like, here's this basketball game. It's been out for 3 months, and we're already going to shut it down.
Oh, yeah. Didn't the Harry Potter one last like a year maybe? Or
maybe.
Like, yeah, they haven't had a good record with that. Yeah, man. It has to be the most embarrassing one, right, guys? Because I really didn't think anything would top Babylon's Fall. But we have. Like, here's the thing, right? Most games we talk shit about, you can largely still play them. You can still play Anthem. I don't know why you would want to, but you can, right? You can still play the Avengers. You can still play Ninjala and Exoprimal and Foam Stars and Suicide Squad. You get the point. Even the ones that you can't play anymore, like Lawbreakers or Battleborn or Knockout City, as I mentioned, they all lasted more than 2 weeks. I can't get over it. I know it's been talked to death now. I'm sorry, I can't. But let's try to think about this from Sony's perspective for a second, right? Because they clearly saw something in Concord that the rest of the world did not, right? I just want to know, and I throw this to either of you, how did they get this so wrong? Or in other words, why do you think Concord didn't connect with anyone the way they thought it would, Kevin?
So I don't know. I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a lot of hero shooter fatigue. And I'm not saying that hero shooters can't be a thing going forward, but I went back and rewatched the trailer for this before the show. And honestly, you could have showed me that and said, this is new content for Overwatch, which I've never paid super close attention to. And I probably would have bought it. So if I think those hero shooters need to at least have a different take or be based off of like a franchise people already care about. I just what do you guys think that what was it about Concord that said it had any chance whatsoever? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And a couple shows ago, I did play the beta weekend of it, and I talked about it on here. And I said that was the deceptive thing about Concord. It's not Overwatch. It's Destiny. It's Destiny PvP. It doesn't play like Overwatch at all. It certainly doesn't feel like it. You know how Overwatch is quippy. They're talking to each other and stuff as you're doing your goal or whatever. Concord is just deathmatch. It's just Destiny deathmatch, team deathmatch. And it's okay, I guess that's fine. But I have no idea why you would come to Concord for that, Steve.
I just feel like Concord didn't connect with anyone at all because anyone that would have been interested is already playing a game in this space, a better game and not Destiny PvP. Oh, we have a wacky cast of characters as the trailer tried to, portray to us. Okay, everyone's already kind of invested in others' casts of characters, though, emotionally and financially. No one really tried to make a real effort to sell Concord, other than the 15 minutes we spent on that state of play.
Watching that interminably long cutscene, right? And I think that's the thing. That's like I said, all that stuff needs to be in the game. That's the cool stuff about Overwatch is all that characterization is in the game. Concord just saw okay, here are the cutscenes. That's what people like, right? People love those Overwatch shorts. Let's just do one of those every week, as if that's not ungodly expensive, right? And it's just no, that's not the reason why people like Overwatch. It's part of the reason, but you have to have all the other stuff too, and it just did not present itself in the game. And I guess the only real question I can come at you guys with is will this ever come back? Do you guys ever see Concord relaunching? Yeah, Kevin.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if this even like ran for a few months and it was a little quieter, maybe. But were you guys on Twitter that day? Like, this fucking blew up. I think like for a lot of people, this was the first time that Concord was on their radar, because it was just such a laughing stock for the quickest shutdown. And I if they came back in a year and they're like, we've been really hard at work on this, we're bringing it back as a free to play game, we've done this and this and this, I think it's impossible to shake off the stink of failure at this point for Concord, at any point. I think it's done.
I think so as well. And that's one of the points that people kept saying that drove me crazy. It's like, it should have been free to play. Dog, nobody's interested. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be interested for $0. Foam Stars is about to find that out this month when they go free to play. No one is going to care. And Foam Stars was already on PlayStation Plus for its first month, and no one gave a shit. So was Destruction All-Stars, and no one gave a shit, right? At some point, you just have to admit, nobody's interested in this, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, firstly, I have to say, I always forget about Foam Stars until you brought it up. I even forgot about Foam Stars again from the time you brought it up twice in this segment, like in between the two times. Anyway. But that's the thing. For a second there, I thought, yeah, it could come back I thought if Sony swallowed their pride and their bazillions of dollars investment they made to make changes and adjustments. But no, we've already established that, Overwatch is the king of the castle and Marvel Rivals is coming. And they're already making all the right moves. Concord's got no chance, even if they, do everything they're supposed to do. I just don't think it's going to really come back anymore. This is going to be one of those times where Sony's going to look at all this and just say, fuck it, we're done. I think.
That would be so bizarre with something they invested so much time into in money. But we've seen stranger things happen, right? And it just... I don't know, like Kevin, you were talking about like, okay, they retool it for a year. That's what they did for Suicide Squad. Remember, they delayed that shit by an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, and people are like, oh, they're going to remove all the live service. They're going to change it. And it's like, no, man, it's going to be the game that we always thought it was. And it came out and it was. So,
I mean, just like Harvey Weinstein goes to prison for a year and comes back with a 6-pack and says, I've changed and I'm going to like just direct some indie flicks. Like, is anybody going to accept that? No. I think this is an apt comparison.
I'm trying to imagine that fat shit with a 6-pack. It ain't happening. I have a better chance of getting a 6-pack than him.
Okay, so real quick. PAX West was the other week. Phil Spencer was, out there, as I guess you do with these things. He's given an interview where he dropped some tidbits on his career, namely that Microsoft could have had exclusivity to Guitar Hero and Destiny, but he was the final word that said no on the matter. So he's always been this kind of schmuck, hasn't he?
You could not... If I passed on Guitar Hero and Destiny, you could never get that information out of me. You would have to torture me. You would have to torture me in a foreign country to be like, I would never admit that, Kevin.
What is the benefit of him like publicly acknowledging that? Like, what, like, is there like any positive spin to be put on that, or like any gain for him by telling people that?
I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to be personable, or I don't know. Like, hey, I'm a human. I make mistakes too. Yeah, admit that you like put on like 2 different color socks the other day. Don't say that you passed on fucking Guitar Hero.
Look, I get in a very dumb way passing on Destiny because Bungie broke off of you. Why would you necessarily jump into that? Dumb, but I get the Guitar Hero. They were making their own controllers. Everything was being handed to you. Why would you give that up for at least a small gamble? Like, at least try it.
Guitar Hero, look, the 360 dominated that generation anyway. Guitar Hero exclusivity, oh my fucking god. that would have been insane. Like, they could have rode that for like forever, man. I don't know. That's a big miss. I get that no one cares about Guitar Hero now, but that was hot enough for a long time and made so much fucking. I literally forgot until like last week that they made a Beatles rock band or Guitar Hero or whatever it was. Like, that shit was so huge. There was a Metallica one, right, Kevin?
Yep, there was.
Yeah.
That gets like play around this house probably like 2 or 3 times a month still.
Yeah.
There was a Beatles rock band, and I know it's Beatles rock band because where I work at the church, we have a thrift store, and like just a few months after the game came out, we ended up with boxes and boxes and boxes of disc-only versions of the Xbox 360 version of Beatles Rock Band that we could not move to save our lives. I think I ended up taking a bunch of them back to GameStop, opening the shrink wrap and getting like $1 piece in store credit.
There was Aerosmith Guitar Hero as well.
Mm-hmm. There was. I wanted Pearl Jam Guitar Hero so bad. Man, that was like my big wish. That still is. If they ever revive Guitar Hero and have Pearl Jam Guitar Hero, I would be on that shit. I don't know why, right? Like, I feel like, but I just feel like that's my favorite band with that would fit into Guitar Hero the best, I guess. I don't know.
All right, well, let's go. I'm sure Phil listens to this show. Let's quit rubbing it in. I do like Phil still, so we're probably making him feel bad.
He has an impossible job right now, and I get it, I guess, but at the same time, dog, don't admit stuff like that. I would never. All right, so just a couple days ago, Sony announced the PlayStation 5 Pro in a 9-minute video where Mark Cerny himself, creator of the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita, tells us that the thing that we've all known for months, basically, PlayStation 5 Pro is going to deliver fidelity mode graphics with performance mode frame rates, essentially. You're not going to have to choose anymore. That's how this entire thing was framed. The thing is, PlayStation 5 Pro is going to cost $700 and it doesn't come with a disc drive. You got to buy one of those things, and good luck because they're probably already sold out. And it's coming out November 7th. Guys, start wherever you want. The world is our oyster on this one. Steve, why don't you say something? Please have an opening statement, please.
I'm not fucking impressed, Andre.
Okay.
Not because I don't have, not just because I don't have the right TV for this either. But you're going to tell me to buy your $700 console by showing The Last of Us Part 2 and a bunch of other games that were on PS4 and very early on in the PS5 life cycle. I understand why you're not showing me Concord, but he was obsessed with how good Ratchet and Clank looked.
Look, I understand that they showed old games, but honestly, the more I think about it, they kind of have to, because that's how they need to show games that people already know. They can't show like a new game because there's no comparison. They have to show things that we know about, Kevin. I don't know. I get it, but I also don't think it's like the worst thing in the world to have done that.
So I guess for the comparison thing, I mean, okay, so at a little bit of a different angle, it seemed, so I found it like kind of counterproductive for them, because everything they had to show, especially like for the resolution difference, they have to have these side by side, and they have to zoom it in so far to even like demonstrate the point they're making. Now, I'm not saying that they're not that there's no difference in the quality, but the effort that they had to go to like max zoom level to say like, look at how like, you know, in Ratchet and Clank, this crowd like way in the background, like the lines are sharper. You know, and anybody who's already dicked around swapping between performance and resolution knows about that difference, but it almost seemed like an anti-selling point to have to say like, you know, we need to like do this to demonstrate to you what the benefit is. So
I understand what you mean, but it's also, and Digital Foundry said this, and I had the same thought, and I'm glad they said this when talking about this presentation, that that's the reason why Digital Foundry does it too. They zoom in because YouTube sucks so much with the codec that you have to actually do that. And a lot of people watch, like they said, like 50% of people watch Digital Foundry do so on their phone. So if you don't actually do that, you're not going to see anything. And I do, that is real. I mean, that is true, right? But I understand what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I mean, for Digital Foundry, they're not trying to sell you something. They're not trying to like tell you why it's good. So in like from that perspective, it definitely makes sense. And I mean, obviously you can like see the detail of what's sharp and better by doing that. I just think as like a selling point, it just seemed, it came off as awkward.
Well, yeah, because like, and I've lamented this entire generation, and this is not just to this generation. It's been a long time where our focus for like having more power has just been, what if things were sharper? That's what we've been doing for what feels like a decade. And that's the reason why regular people who just play video games every so often will never see the difference between this stuff, because that just doesn't matter to them, and it shouldn't. They see something like Astrobot, and you're like, yo, this is crazy. Yep. And like, honestly, you don't need to zoom in on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart to even see that. The game looks fucking crazy. You understand that, like, yo, this is beyond a PS4. You can see it. You can see it when you play Returnal. You can see it when you play Stellar Blade. That's the fucking problem this generation, right? PS5 Pro is a really hard sell in an industry that is largely uninterested in pushing stuff anymore. We just don't care. I think we gave up. Remember 30 years ago, like when we dove headfirst into polygons, right? Even though it wasn't as good as 2D, we understood that this is the future, so we needed to have our growing pains right now. Let's dive headfirst into real-time FMV, like these Sega CD games with like FMV and like CGI and like pre-rendered backgrounds and like all this stuff. Things were so experimental because we were figuring out the technology. We don't do that anymore, Kevin. We just don't.
Well, it's kind of like from a personal perspective, it was kind of interesting. So even, we're not talking going back 30 years, just going back to when the PS4 Pro came out. And I remember at that time, I had definitely, a bit of envy watching that. I wished I had one. Not enough that I was like, okay, I'm going to trade in my PS4 and go and get one, but it was there. Honestly, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but I can't like make myself care about this, like, despite that radical price point. It's let me put it this way. I mean, to be completely honest, if you gave me the option to take my existing PS5 and trade it in plus like $150 to get a PS4 Pro, I don't think I would do that.
I think I would do that. I think here's the thing, and this is the point that I think is getting lost here. And I do think this is a substantial upgrade. It is. Now, whether we care enough at this point to do it is another thing, but I do think like the leap here is significant enough to like care about. It's just $700, man. Like, that's just, I'm sorry. Like, Jesus Christ almighty.
Just going back to that thought, though, of like switching back and forth between performance and resolution modes. I mean, generally, that's a very easy choice for me, and it's almost always performance. I can think of a few edge cases. Horizon was actually a really good one. That one I did the like middle of the ground one, because that one I could really tell when I switched it to performance, and like it's especially after you run it at the 60, you can't really go back to the 30. It feels shitty. But, seeing the resolution loss and the loss of detail, didn't feel good on that. So in that case, yes. But when I think about almost every time that I've switched back and forth between those modes, I can see the difference. But it's like, I can see it when I'm looking for it. But then when I start actively playing the game, like, it is not on my mind at all.
Yeah, because like the stuff that it's just resolution now. They just drop a resolution and bump a frame rate. That's all we're doing. We're not very much like, oh, this place has like half the foliage, or this, they're not cutting back on settings anymore. It's just res. And like, that's the thing. Like, how can you justify a PS5 Pro when we don't even use the PS5 the way we should? The PS5 is like the Atari 5200 of consoles right now. I'm sorry. That's the way we're treating it.
That might be a bit of a fucking stretch.
But we're not. Well, okay, I understand. Of course, it's exaggeration, but we're not using it. We're mainly making PS4 games and running them like a dream. And you know what? That's fucking fine. Like I'm playing Visions of Mana right now. I would never play it any other way. Octopath Traveler 2, fucking beautiful game on PS5 running at that resolution. Like, yeah, it's largely built for like PS4 and Switch, and it's just like kind of like a bump up upgrade. Dude, PS5 is you are doing yourself a giant disservice if you're not playing Octopath 2 on PS5 or Series X. Sorry, it's just true. Point is though, when we can count the amount of true like boundary pushing PS5 exclusives like on our couple of hands, then what the fuck are we even doing here? If we're not going to actually use the PS5, why would anyone actually use the PS5 Pro? That's the hardest sell besides the $700. Like, if we're not pushing things right now, I'm not going to like buy a top dollar console.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
And again, I'm not being one of those people who are like, PS5 has no games or nobody, they don't even do everything's just coming out on PS4. No, it's a fucking substantial upgrade over, like, I'm sorry. Yes, you can play the game on PS4. Would you want to? Like, you can play a lot of things on Switch that it's like, okay, yeah, but do you really want to do that? Like, come on, use your head a little bit. But yeah, if we're not going to push it, then whatever. Also, guys, I got to do like a little gloating here. Remember last Gamescom where Nintendo showed Switch 2 behind closed doors and they were showing Breath of the Wild at 4K 60 and like instant loading and all that. And I said to you guys, this machine is costing $400. And y'all were like, I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound so fucking crazy anymore, does it? Because this PS5 Pro is $700.
That is probably the biggest favor Sony has ever done for Nintendo. Oh, thank you. Now our $400 price point doesn't look as stupid anymore. Thanks so fucking much.
It's totally happening, Kevin. That's what I said for this whole time. But
and you know what? At least the $400 Switch 2 would be an entire system. You brought it up at the top. I know you're talking about the whole thing, but I just can't get over how $700 doesn't get me a complete PlayStation 5. You brought up on the top. I still have to buy a disc drive, and it doesn't come with the fucking stand.
That's so crazy.
I don't use the stand, but you can't throw in a fucking stand.
Yeah, that does seem like, because they really want to position this as like top tier premium product. You know what? So yeah, that makes it feel uncomfortable when they're like, this is like the best of the best. This is the tits, but you can't use discs unless you give us more money and buy this other thing. Like, yeah,
it's crazy, man. I think just like, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of bummed out that we're not trying anymore. I think that's my big takeaway from PS5 Pro. It's like, we can't justify this if we're not like, okay, I kind of talked about this because during our mailbag a couple episodes ago, a listener asked us, Steve, I think, like, how do we want to see technology progress? And I think my answer was, I want to see us do cool, like wacky shit again. Like Pikmin was an experiment to have like 100 things on the screen, right? If Pikmin were on PS5, how many Pikmin could we have on screen? I have no idea. 100,000? I don't know. The fact that we have had this console for 4 years and we don't have the answer to anything like that drives me crazy. Because again, we just keep focusing on what if it were sharper? Okay.
I don't want to fucking like drag this off in the wrong direction, but you guys got to play Astro Bot, because there are times that I've been playing that where it's like genuinely like, holy fuck, I've never seen this, just from like similar to what you're talking about, not Pikmin on the screen, but
okay,
like just like, wow, crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to get the game to. It seems like they're doing really interesting shit like that. So, yeah. About the only thing I found interesting from this presentation was their solution for upresing PSSR or whatever it's called. Their like resolution, because like there's on PC there's like DLSS or FSR or whatever, things that like make things look higher resolution than they actually are. If PlayStation can actually leverage that and have their own solution for that, because like games that use FSR look very fizzly. I feel like Rebirth is one of those, and you can see some ghosting sometimes in performance mode, and it can get a little gnarly. And not enough for me to change, of course. I'm having that 60 no matter what. But if the PlayStation can leverage their own technology in that way, that's cool. Right. But again, I'm not paying $700 for that. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. That's all I'm exhausted. Thank you for letting me yap so long. You guys got any other points?
Just like, I'm curious what you guys think, like Sony was thinking the reception was going to be, because I mean, again, on Twitter that day, like that fucking blew up, and like everybody is just like, are you insane? $700 American dollars. Like, did they expect that was going to go over well? Maybe they could have got away with that on new gen hardware, but a mid-gen refresh seems tone deaf, and I feel like they've kind of got a bit of a bad look on the hardware side of things lately between PSVR 2 and the Portal already. I don't know. I don't think this like did any favors for public perception of Sony, and like I wonder if they expected that.
Well, I think what also is the problem nowadays is that we are just at the point where we just don't drop console prices anymore. We just don't give a fuck. We, in fact, sometimes we raise them depending on the country. And like by the time PS4 Pro came out, the PS4 was already dropped down to like $300 or whatever. It would drop to $350 and it had another drop to $300. And then PS4 Pro came out at $400, which was like the original price of the PS4, right? Which is reasonable, right? For that time. Now it's like you're paying $200 more than the base model 4 years ago, which has not dropped in price. And again, in fact, has risen in some areas. So it's just like, also, man, like just in general, man, the economy, like we don't have any fucking money. Like inflation is just killing everybody. I know it's like, I know people think of that in terms of America. I'm sure it's no better in Canada, Kevin. Like it's just, things are so fucking, things are so fucking expensive right now. Like we can't afford this shit at $700, man. I know people are making like the 3DO stuff from like $700 or, like in 1993 or whatever, which obviously was fucking outrageous. But at least then you could say, okay, it's a premium, CD based console that blah, blah. Like you could at least try to make an argument for it. I can't make an argument for PS5 Pro, Steve.
I mean, I don't think a lot of other people were either, because for a time in the afternoon, Nintendo was trending. Like, man, can't wait to see what they're doing. I feel it's like any time now with the Switch 2.
This is the perfect time for them to swoop in with that $400, like you said. They should absolutely.
Yeah, you can't. Again, not that I'm in the market for it, but I'm poor too. You think I don't have a TV that can run 120 frames a second for fun? No, I'm.
I mean, I do, but I also made a priority to like save up for that and get this TV in preparation for a PS5. Like I got it like a couple months before it came out. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe if my PS5 dies, it overheated the other day, which scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, you're not having great luck with that.
Yeah, I took it apart and blew it out with the spray can and everything. So hopefully all the dust is gone. Maybe that was a problem. Hope so. But, this is how my PS4 died in summer 19. It just kept overheating until it got to the point where I couldn't turn it on anymore. So I turned it on for like 5 seconds one last time to like yank out my bloodstained disc. And that was the last time I got it to turn on. Otherwise, I'm like, do I have to take this fucking thing apart to get my disc out? Oh my God. But yeah, I'm just afraid of that happening to me again. But yeah, if it dies, I don't know, I'll consider a PS5 Pro, but that's the only reason why.
What if base model got $100 price drop?
Oh no, then I'm getting a base. I'm not paying $300 above. I'm not doing that. Yeah. Okay, guys. Kevin, look. look, I'm sorry, okay? I understand. We usually have shower time up front. I get it. I don't want to. It's been like 3 shows.
You
this
don't
guy
need
won't
to
shower.
apologize. You know that I was just fronting when I said maybe or I will not shower. You know I'm in.
All right, everyone, get your clothes off. It's time for the shower.
It's time to hit the showers. We'll be right back on Fine Time.
Whew. All right. That was good, man. I needed a shower for 6 weeks. People were tired of smelling me. I was getting complaints at work. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, well, you guys, I apologize. I realized bringing the blow dryer into the shower was not the best idea, but now I know for next time.
Hey, we survived. We made it work.
Yep.
Steve
okay.
might still be a little frazzled, but
Yeah, I'm just dead inside.
Okay.
His hair is sticking straight up.
All one of them.
Well, like Homer hair, like just like, like
the little oval thing, half crescent.
All right, enough shower talk. You guys, come here, come here, huddle in.
Okay,
a little closer. Okay. Do you guys want to do some illegal off-season betting?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
Here's the deal. Because it seems like all of the is Switch 2 going to be announced in the next couple of months? Like, it keeps coming up here and there. So I'm going to give all 3 of us 2-to-1 odds, max bet of $300 that by the end of October, we're going to get official Switch 2 news from Nintendo. And I'm talking like something substantial-ish, like, if it's like, a September Direct comes and they're just like, Switch 2 news will be, released early next year, whatever. That's not going to count. We need to have something somewhat substantial.
I feel like
I'm going to put $150 on it.
Okay. Wow.
I mean,
$150. Do we need to see it?
Okay, so what if it's like, what if they show the screen, but they're like, oh, we'll show the Joy-Con 2s in early November or something. Like we got to see something.
That'll count.
How about see hardware or gameplay specified to, well, that's tough too, though.
No, I think gameplay would count.
Kevin, let me ask you this. What if they do a very similar video like they did for the first Switch? Does that count?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
1,000 for sure.
How much money am I sitting on right now?
So Steve has $449, I have $475, and Andre has $1,100.
$200.
$200.
All right. Damn. You know what? You can get me for $100. I'll throw in $100.
100?
Yeah, I'm not super confident, but I got some money to blow. I'll do that.
Okay, all right. Don't tell the fuzz. This is going to stay on the down low.
Okay, totally.
We only are legally allowed to run this betting ring once per quarter. So
okay, we won't. We'll cut this out of the show. Nobody will know that.
Okay.
All right, guys. Okay, it's been a long time since we played a game. In fact, I wanted to play this game with Steve last week, but then Nintendo decided to have a partner / fucking indie direct at the same time. Yeah, God forbid, right? So we didn't get to play it. But I'm glad Kevin is back, because I feel like I should have waited for you to come back to do this anyway, because Kevin, I know in show history, the most you've ever been upset is when you biffed the 45-second games on the GameCube first party titles.
I choked, and I still occasionally think about that and am so ashamed, because I should have been able to fucking clean house.
Yeah, see, I know that still upsets you. Well, I'm going to give Kevin a chance to redeem himself, and you guys are going to work together, just like we did before, because we are going to play a little fake-ass Family Feud. Are we going to get in trouble if we call it that? Fake-ass Family Feud, not Family Rumble?
I think we're safe from a cease and desist from Steve Harvey.
Okay, Steve Harvey himself will deliver it to us.
Oh, yeah, we're fucked.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, the rules are just like last time. Because what did we do last time? I think the best-selling games, top 12 best-selling games of 2023.
Something
right?
like that.
Okay. And you guys, you went back and forth and you both got 2 misses and you're out, just like Toad said in Mario 3. We're going to do the same thing here. However, the topic is going to be, let's fill up the board. Top 15 best-selling GameCube games of all time.
Okay.
Top 15. Okay. And I'm doing 15 because obviously I think you guys are going to get a lot of these, but there, when I looked through these, it was a bit surprising to me. I was like, I didn't know that was on there. So this may not be as easy as you guys might think, but I'm really rooting for you guys and I hope you ace this. Okay. So who wants to go first? One of you decide.
Go ahead, Steve.
Steve? Okay. So Steve, top 15 answers on the board. Name a best-selling GameCube game. Top 15.
Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Super Smash Brothers Melee is the number 1 answer, Steve. You got it. Now, I didn't know that. I thought it'd be something else, but that is apparently it.
Steve did know that.
Oh, okay. Shh, don't tell anybody. Kevin.
Double Dash.
That's number 2, actually. You guys are going hot. Are you gonna throw a perfect game here? Are you gonna keep going in order here?
All the way,
probably not.
Down the
all
list.
the way down. Okay, well let's see if you can. Let's see if you can. Okay, Steve.
Legend of Zelda Wind Waker.
That is number 4. You guys already broke code here. So you didn't get number 3. It's number 4 on the best-selling GameCube list. All right, so Kevin, your turn.
Mario Sunshine.
Mario Sunshine is number 3. So see, God damn it, you ruined everything. It is kind of funny. You guys got the top 4 with your first 4 answers, but okay, let's keep going. Steve.
Oh fuck!
Now you're in trouble, right?
A little bit, yes. You know what? Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion is number 5 on the list.
Nice.
You guys
all right,
are
Steve.
doing it right now. You guys are doing it, man. If you get number 6, I'm going to shit. But Kevin.
I'm going to guess Mario Party 4 was on that list. I don't know about
Mario Party 4. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Is Mario Party 4 on the board? It is. It's number 8. Best-selling GameCube games of all time. Mario Party 4. Man, that is that's something. That was a shocker to me too. I wouldn't have thought that would be number 8. But okay, Steve.
Oh man, now I'm just gonna feel bad if I say literally anything at all.
Come on.
Oh, man, this is tough because any answer I say is just gonna feel wrong now.
Yeah, we got the gimmies out of the way, right? So this is kind of why I wanted to do 15 because I feel like it's a lot tougher. Top 5, you guys would have fucking aced it, right? So like, yeah.
Oh man, what came out? Lots of shit came out.
Lots of shit came out.
And anything I want to say impulsively, I know didn't.
Well, what's on your mind right now? Are you thinking more first party stuff, obviously, or are you thinking like?
Oh God, what was? Oh my God, there was this one obnoxious one that fuck me sideways. Okay, fuck it. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour.
Oh, that was going to be my next one.
Okay, Mario Golf
Toadstool Tour. I can't do it either.
Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. Is it on the board? It is not. Sorry, that does not make the top 15.
I thought that did pretty well.
It probably did.
Just not top 15.
Just not top 15 good. But damn, that's not a bad guess. That's not a bad guess. Okay, so that's one miss for Steve. Kevin, you're back.
I think Sonic Adventure 2 Battle did pretty well on GameCube.
Okay, let's see. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, is it on the board? It is. It's number 14 out of 15 on this list. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I was a little bit surprised to see that too. Obviously, I know that's like one of the big GameCube hits, but I just wasn't sure. I wouldn't have had the balls to say it, so I'm glad you did. Okay, Steve, you're back.
I'll pull out some balls too. Star Wars Rogue Leader.
Star Wars Rogue Leader. Can we put that on the board? Oh man, Steve. Okay, you're struck out. Kevin, you're gonna have to carry this entire thing. Let's put you back on the stand.
We're sharing the wrongs.
You both get two misses, so Steve's out.
Oh, we both get two. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going out on a limb a little bit on this one. I'm gonna say Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. Can you be more specific?
Original Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Okay. Let's see if Splinter Cell on the board. It is not. I feel like that'd probably make like an Xbox top 15. I'm not sure it sold that much on GameCube. I mean, it sold, right? But not like, top 15. I feel like that was like kind of Xbox identified for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't think of it.
Yeah. But okay, you got one more. Okay, you gotta, let's see how many you can get without missing here.
I'm going to say Twilight Princess. I'm sure that didn't sell near as well as Wind Waker, but I feel like top 15.
Okay, Twilight Princess. Is it on the best-selling GameCube games board?
Really? Damn.
Y'all are done. I can't believe it. You started out so hot too, you guys.
What are the rest of them?
It gets tricky the deeper you get.
We got the top 5. Number 6 is Metroid Prime.
Really? That high?
Yeah.
Man, I thought about that and I was like, I bet you didn't.
I'm like, I know it was the best one selling one till Dread, but oh man.
Yeah, this is Metroid Prime. Number 7's Animal Crossing.
Now,
again, I didn't think that was that high.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime sold under 2 million units, correct? Do you have sales figures there?
It sold more. I don't have the sales figures on here, but it definitely it sold like over 2.5.
Okay.
Okay. I know that much. I think 2.61 or something like that. You got number 8, Mario Party 4. Number 9 was Pokemon Coliseum.
Huh.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't have thought of personally. Number 10 is Mario Party 5. Number 11 is Mario Party 7. You guys should have just spammed Mario Party. And number 12 is Thousand Year Door. I honestly didn't think it sold that much to be on here, but it was. 13 is Star Fox Adventures. 14, Kevin got. Yeah, 14, Kevin got was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Number 15 was Mario Party 6. So, you guys should have went Mario Party crazy, but
yeah, and I figured that would have dropped off after 4.
Yeah,
it's crazy that Metroid Prime sold more than Twilight Princess to me. I mean, obviously, I know it, because we cannibalized a lot of that, but
yeah, I feel like that's just like one of those things that was a bit. Well, look, I think it sold like over 1 million or whatever on Cube, but that got the millions on Wii. So I don't think. Well, it's also less of a like Breath of the Wild situation because like I don't know, Breath of the Wild sold like 1 million copies on Wii U, right? But like Switch is where it sold like 30. It's not that wide of a gap, but it's that not enough to make this list though. So
I'm a little I don't know. I thought you know what? I actually probably would have guessed that Splinter Cell had sold more on GameCube than Metroid Prime.
Really? Yeah, not on. I mean, I'm sure it sold a lot, but yeah, you know what's really crazy to me is that let me look. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That means that's like the highest selling third party GameCube game ever. I would have thought I would have said like Super Monkey Ball if it were me, or I would have said like something else. I don't think I would have said Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
That was just like such a fucking thing at the time, like Sega's going third party, right? So I think it was,
Sonic on my Nintendo, I gotta. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, look, you guys know I love that game, right? So, like, yeah, of course, and that's the version I waited for when it came out on Dreamcast, and of course, I was still in the Dreamcast. But a month later or whatever, they announced it for Cube, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be the longest 9 months of my life because, you know, when you're 19, that's a really fucking long time. So
I'm surprised you waited. I thought you would have definitely done that on Dreamcast.
Nah, I waited. I had to. I knew that
was doing next gen superiority even way back then.
Oh yeah, you know I was. You absolutely know I was, man. But yeah, guys, come on. Yeah, I thought for sure Steve would just throw a Paper Mario 1000-Year Door at me.
No. See, I wanted to do Metroid Prime and Animal Crossing, but I'm like, I know those sold well, but not top 15 good, but I guess they did.
Even though you're a Pokepal, would you even thought Coliseum? Like,
for what it was, no, but I guess more of us latched onto it than we did.
Yeah.
That's one's kind of surprising too, because I think I actually would have guessed that XD Gale of Darkness sold more than Coliseum.
Coliseum had a 2-year head start, so if I was going to guess any of them, it would have been that.
Nah.
Gale of Darkness was like in the top 20 somewhere. I feel like it was probably like 18 or 19. It's kind of just off the bottom of this cutoff here. Yeah. But it's up there, you know, but yeah. Okay. That was fun. But okay, we'll have to try this more often. I like doing this co-op family rumble or whatever we're calling it.
I like working as a team and not. I feel less pressured. I'm going to look like a fucking dipshit when I got somebody to join up with.
We should get the fuck out of here. Thanks for joining us, guys. Follow us on Twitter at Fine Time Podcast. Follow us on Blue Sky. Check the description of this podcast to find our names on there. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
We'll catch you next time. This has been Fine Time.